What did I just see? Well, today we draw Baba Chops in 4 different styles. And for the first section, we're going to start off with the cartoon effect. And for this, I'm using the cartoon imagery that you find on the wiki, and I'm keeping it really simple, really smooth. I'm almost going to give a carbon copy, but I like using the Posca markers because they give a really good illustrative quality. I'm also going to use a different style paint pen that you see here that has a nice brush nib because it gives a really good control and a great flow of the paint. I will say I did add a little bit of highlight and a little bit of extra shadow to it just because I didn't want it to be too flat of an image in juxtaposition to all the other images that you'll see later on in the video. And now we're going to do the anime style. I was originally going to use Pokemon and specifically Marip as a reference for the anime style, but then I didn't want to have to get into the argument of whether Pokemon is or isn't an anime, despite the fact that it's done in a Japanese studios and it's done in a traditional Japanese style, but it's sometimes considered a cartoon, and then you get the war of the fighting people going, well, it's not like that, and it could, and I don't have time for that. I've had this discussion both on and offline, and it's just not my cup of tea. So instead, what I decided to settle on is a nice cute little chibi character in a wool kind of costume. I actually did something similar when I did my Jeff the Landshark video, and I think it came out really well, so I kind of re-brought it back for this. And now we're up to the horror side, and this side actually took me the longest, and it's actually the one that I think has the most detail. Now you might say to yourself, what do you mean? Realistic, it should have more detail. Well, I really pushed a lot of color in a very gray area, and you'll see as the figure develops how I add a lot of color in the teeth and in the lips and in the gums, and how I add some nice little subtleties in the eyeball, and I really wanted to push a really horrifying Huggy Wuggy smile on Baba Chops. Now, as you're going to see this whole drawing unfold, you're going to see that it's a lot of color pencil work. So here's a really good tip for anyone that's having problems with color pencils, and that is before you press hard on the paper, build up several layers of color. So this way, when you use a light tone like the white that you see here, that's something that I love to blend out with. Now, when you do blend out with a white, it will give it a much lighter color and a lighter effect, but you can always add colors back on top. As long as you don't damage the paper by pressing too hard, you can do multiple layers, but once you press too hard, and it's called burnishing, which is the technique that it is, you make it harder to then add layers on top. So you always want to work lightly in a multitude of layers. Now, before we go on and finish up this little part of Baba Chops, I want you to please do me a favor. If you haven't already, please hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. It helps me out a lot. It lets YouTube know that you guys love the content, and I see that you've been really loving the content as of late, and it really means a lot. The last premiere we had a whole bunch of people in the comments, and I was loving all the interaction that everyone was having. So if you like this channel, then please smash that like button and subscribe button so you never miss another video. And now we're on to the realistic plushie side. Now this side didn't take nearly as long as the horror style, and that's because a lot of it is a very flat color with very light gradations to emphasize the fluffiness of the coat that Baba Chops has. So you're not going to see a lot of scraggly hairs like in the horror or the horn that I added or anything like that. This is going to be more about controlled blending, making sure that it looks smooth and round and fluffy and almost like you want to reach out and grab it like a pillow. So unlike its horror counterpart, we're really trying to focus on round shapes that look very light and very airy. So how do we achieve this? Well, one way that I like to do is to go with the darkest tone down first and then work lightly with a lot of white. Since Baba Chops is wool, we want to use a lot of whites, and then as you can see here, carve back into the black with those grays. Now, I'm not going to show you all the transition that you saw because we would be here for hours, just because it's a lot of monotony. It's a lot of just round shape, highlight, 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 shadow, shadow. It's a very repetitive process. So I just kind of cut through some of it. But as you can see, this is how I did it. And then with the nice little finishing touches, I added the little highlights just to give it a little wispiness, just to give it a little flick. So let me know what you guys think. Which side is your favorite? I really love the horror, but then again, I always love the horror, but maybe you like a different one. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll see you all in the next video.